Namaste, good evening everyone. This is the seventh session of Pragnavaridi lecture series. Today we have Vaidya Sushma. Ma'am will be teaching Tisraishaniya Adhyaya, 11th chapter of SUTRASTHANA CHARAKA SAMHITA, one of the best chapter and one of the important chapter. Ma'am will be teaching this now. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, this is really an important chapter because this has all the basics of the whole Chikitsa Sutras itself. Also, most of the concepts seem to be repeated because you all study these concepts in Padartha Vijnana also. A few of the concepts are in Padartha Vijnana, a few of the concepts are in Ashtanga Hridaya again, and some of them are also in Roga Nidana. So many seems to be repeated, but they are not repeated any time because everything was in Charaka Samhita, but it is just listed under different specific subjects according to our understanding. That's all. This is nowhere repeated. But because we study according to subjects also, and also Samhita is another subject in our academics, we feel like, oh, it's repeated. Okay, so let us start with the first point here. So the chapter is Tisraishaniya Adhyaya. So introduction to the chapter name becomes Tisraishaniya. So the word splits like that, Tisraishaniyam Adhyayam. So Tisra is 3, the number 3. Ashana is the desires, if we can correlate, or something you want to achieve is called Ashana. So this chapter starts with the point of Tisraishana. Almost half of the chapter deals with the same thing. And then we come to the end. In the next half, we see the other chapters, other concepts explained. So because the main concept or the first concept explained in this chapter is about ashanas, we have seen the title being kept as Tisraishaniyam Adhyayam. So the chapter which deals about Tisraishana is called Tisraishaniyam Adhyayam. Okay, so this chapter is also a narration format chapter, and at few points we see question and answer format also in the initial shlokas itself. Kind of question and answer and kind of answering the doubts whatever is raised upon. So important shlokas are shloka number 18 to 25. All shlokas between 18 to 25 is very, very important for you to by heart in exam point of view. And also the shloka number 47. Mark them and by heart for your exams. So next tantrayukti used is swasanya, samuchaya, samshaya and nirvachana. We have already understood about swasanya, samuchaya and samshaya in our previous classes. Today the new tantrayukti which we are seeing is nirvachana. So, nirvachanam nama pandita buddhigamyo drishtantaha. See, we have different levels of explaining any concept. If whether the other person who is listening to you is a student or he is a noob or he knows half and half or he is an expert in the subject, depending on the levels of the opposition person, the opposite people who is listening to the lecture or the narration, the explanation is given, right? You cannot explain the same way how you explain a few things to the experts. Same explanation cannot be given to students, or same explanation cannot be given to a person who has not heard about the concept at all. So there are different levels of explaining. Here, nirvachana, this nirvachana tantrayukti is used when the other person who is listening to you is also as an expert. So when you are talking to an expert, however you talk, that concept is called, that type of talking is called nirvachana, or that kind of writing in samhitas is called nirvachana. Considering the reader as a pandita or the person who is an expert in this concept, in this field, whenever they start explaining that particular concept, that is called nirvachana. Important point. When you read Samhita as Samhita, see, reading Samhita is different. Reading Samhita for your exam point of view is different. Reading Samhita as a practitioner is different. But reading Samhita as a Samhita on its own, without having any prejudiced mindset or without expecting anything out of Samhita, if you want to read or if you start reading about it, reading the Samhita itself, then you will be able to utilize these tantrayuktis and understand them in a beautiful way. Okay, that is the purpose of understanding tantrayuktis. That is the only reason why I am mentioning tantrayukti. This tantrayukti is not asked in any of your examinations. Yes, there is a concept of tantrayukti. The syllabus point is there, but that is always neglected. Maybe once in 5 years you get one small question about tantrayukti. That's all. That is the amount of importance given in the academics or in examination level, university examination levels. But if you want to learn Samhita as it is properly, without having any doubts and everything, tantrayukti is the must. I mean, it is the base if you want to understand Samhita properly. If you do not know tantrayukti and if you want to read Samhita, you cannot. If you just read translations or any beautiful translations, no, you cannot understand Samhita if you do not utilize tantrayuktis there. Okay. So next contents of the chapter is different principles in triads, that is Ashana, Upastambha, Bala, Roga, Roga Marga, Bhishak, etc. All of these triads are explained. That is like points in triples. Okay, all the triplets are explained, or group of 3 is explained in this whole chapter. Next, we'll see the first point explained here, that is Triashana, that is 3 ashanas. What are those? They are praneshana, dhaneshana, and paralokeshana. See, ashana, what we understood is to want to achieve something or the desires. So whatever you put as prefix, achieving that is the word here. So prana, you are desiring to have a beautiful life, then it is praneshana. If you are desiring to have dhana, then it is called dhaneshana. If you are desiring to have paraloka, if you want to attain paraloka, then it is paralokeshana. That is how the 3 ashanas are explained here. And these 3 ashana explanation is itself the whole of the chapter. I'll tell you how. Praneshana, if there is no life, then the other 2 desires cannot be fulfilled. Swasthavritta, Vikara Prasamana will help in gaining more lifespan, thereby a person can achieve Praneshana. Praneshana is to lead a happy life and to lead a healthy life, that which can help you to be perfect in your life without having any diseases. Thereby you can achieve more lifespan and you can achieve Praneshana. Then the next point is Dhaneshana. This is the second important point. If one should collect Jivana Upayogi Upakarana, such as farming, domestic animals or domesticating the animals, businesses to indulge in Rajaseva, etc., which are not looked on. So a person has to follow all of these things to earn money. Such person will be able to accumulate money and thus achieve Dhaneshana. So if a person wants to get more money in his life, then he should involve in all of these activities, which are like farming or domesticating animals or any business or doing Rajaseva and any other occupations which are not looked down. So if he involves himself in such activities, then he will be able to accumulate money and thus he can achieve Dhaneshana. Next, Paralokeshana. Some people do not believe in Paraloka because they rely upon Pratyaksha Pramana only. This Paraloka is not understandable by Pratyaksha Pramana. This is only Anumanagamya and this is only Yuktigamya. Those people who do not believe in Pratyaksha Pramana does not even believe in Paraloka. Those people only believe that the birth happens due to the mother and father union, or it is the Svabhava, or as Yadritsa, and they do not believe in Punarjanma. So one should always refrain from relying on Pratyaksha Pramana because it is a very small part. And the scope and understanding of Apratyaksha is vast and is understood with the help of Agama, Anumana, and Yukti. So here the author wants to explain us about the Paraloka, or to achieve the Paraloka. How? he explains it later. But here he says some of the atheists do not believe in paraloka because they do not believe in because they believe only in pratyaksha pramana and no other pramanas is their acceptance. So they believe that if a person is living here, then he lives here, and if he dies, he's just gone. It's just about the body. They do not believe in atma, paramatma, and all. So if a person is living here, he's living, and if he's dead, he's just dead. You bury the body, you burn the body, whatever happens, it just happens, and he's gone. Poof. But whoever believes here, whoever understands this concept, is the person who believe in Punarjanma, or the persons who believe in Atma, Paramatma, Mukti, and Paraloka, etc. So, if you are not understanding this Punarjanma, you are limiting your knowledge itself, because Pratyaksha Pramana is very limited. Whatever you see through your naked eyes are very limited. But apratyaksha, or whatever is not seen, is very vast, and you can understand that vastness only with the help of agama, anumana, and yukti. The same concept can be applied when you sit in the practice and when you're questioning the patients. Whatever you see in front of them, whatever they tell is very limited, and whatever you have to understand with the help of agama, anumana, and yukti is so much. So next, in detail, he explains in the Samhita here. He explains about, for more than 4 or 5 slokas, he explains about paralokeshana, how the birth and death happens, why a person takes birth because of the mother and father, how the person has to not understand that svabhava is the only reason for birth, and why the person should not understand that yadricha is the only reason why there is birth. These 3 reasons are not the only reasons why there is birth happening. It is much more than this. He says, you first understand the satya and asatya. You first put your prejudiced concepts aside. Understand what is the role of the mother and father, what is the role of svabhava, what is the role of yadricha in the birth happening, and then understand that Punarjanma is there. And then, because you have understood all of these things about birth and death and Punarjanma and rebirth and all, now we have come to a conclusion that apratyaksha is also very important. And then he explains about the apratyaksha pramanas. That's a very, very long process. Let us not go deep into it because it takes another whole section. So from shloka number 7 till shloka number 16, all of these shlokas are related to the justification of why the birth does not happen only due to mother and father, why it doesn't happen only due to svabhava and only due to yadricha. And then he explains how the birth happens, and he justifies everything. And then he says, now you have understood that these are not the only reasons. Now we have understood the satya and asatya. So this is why paralocation is very important. He comes to the conclusion there in the shloka number 16. Please read all of these slokas. Very, very important. Though it may not help you in your examinations, these questions are really not as in detail, but that will give you a complete different perspective about the whole Ayurveda Shastra itself. Because Ayurveda Shastra is an Astika Shastra. Astika Shastra is a theist. The whole concept is all about paraloka and Punarjanma and all such basic principles. These basic principles are very important. If you only understand them, you will be able to understand the other major diseases when they explain. Because in many diseases, when you understand the nidana of many rogas, they say papa karma, they say you have done some anachara, you have not done worshipping of guru and all, you have not done this, you have not done that, in terms of your actions, not in terms of whatever is related to your health, not in any kind of physical nidana sevanas, but in terms of your actions. done in terms of violating the rules of Sadvritta and all. If you have to understand those causes, then you have to learn all of these. If not, you feel they are all just fluke. Okay, so please read this, the explanation written here from shloka number 7 to shloka number 16, and then you will get a very broad, deep meaning about Ayurveda Shastra. So we'll move on to the next one, shloka number 17, that is about Chaturvidha Pariksha. Chaturvidha Pariksha are Aptopadesha, Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Yukti. So these are the means of how you have to examine anything. This is not only related with a patient. The author says, Divividham eva khalu sarvam sat cha asat. So there is only sat and asat. There is only whatever is true and whatever is false. If you want to understand the difference between the truth and the false, how you have to examine is with these 4 parikshas. Aptopadesha is rajastamobhyam nirmuktaha tapovjnana balena ye yesham trikalam amalam jnanam avyahatam sada aptaha shishta vibuddhaste tesham vakyam asamshayam satyam vakshyanti te kasmad asatyam ni rajastamaha. Very important shloka. This can be a 2-mark question or even sometimes 5-mark question as the whole Chaturvidha Pariksha itself, or as Chaturvidha Pramanas explained in CHARAKA Samhita. So he explains about Apta. Who is Apta? He gives the characteristics of Apta. Apta is the one who is devoid of Rajas and Tamas. Rajastamobhyam nirmuktaha. He is devoid of Rajas and Tamas, and he is only Satvika, is what the author means to say. Tapojnana balenaye. The person has achieved strength by tapas, and he has jnana bala also. Not only by his psychological strength, but also with knowledge. Not only tapas or the spiritual strength he has, but he also has knowledge. Yesham trikalam amalam jnanam avyahatam sada. He knows the truth of all the 3 kalas, that is Bhutakala, Bhavishyat and Vartamana, the past tense, present tense, and the future. He knows everything in clarity. He does not have any doubts. Yesham trikalam amalam. He has proper knowledge about this trikala, and that jnana is avyahata, that it is not influenced by anything, and that is always pure, and that is consistent. This is the characters of Apta. Aptaha shishta vibuddhaste tesham vakyam asamshayam. His words cannot be taken into any doubtful conditions. It is not at all worth of creating any doubts. You should always just believe in that. It is Satya. He always speaks Satya. Satyam vakshyanti te. He always speaks true. Kasmad asatyam ni rajastama. He will never speak asatya, and he is devoid. And the words are also devoid of rajas and tamas, is what the characteristics of Apta is. Whatever the Apta says, that is called Apta Upadesha. These are the characteristics of Apta. The one whom you consider as an Apta, you have to trust them. And if you have to consider that person as an Apta, he has to check all of these characters listed here. So if you have to consider a person as Apta, then he should have all of these characters, and then the words told by him, or the explanations given by him, or the guidance given by him is called as Apta Upadesha. So this is the first Chaturvidha Pariksha here. Next one is Pratyaksha. Apta Upadesha is also a person. Apta is also a person who is experienced, who has complete knowledge. Either you take the understanding from a known person, or you see on your own. This is the second option he gives you. If you want to understand the difference between truth and the false things, if you want to decipher them, either trust any Apta person or you see on your own. Second option, Pratyaksha. Atma Indriya Mano Arthanam Sannikarshat Pravartate Vyakta Tadatve Ya Buddhihi Pratyaksham Sa Niruchyate. whenever there is Atma, Indriya, Mano, Artha, Sanikarsha, we saw that Indriya, Indriyartha, Sanikarsha happens properly when you have Atma, Indriya, Manas, and the Indriyartha in the line. Whenever all of these are conjugated properly, that is when a Sanikarsha happens, the communication happens, the flow happens, and then you understand something as buddhi. The result of this Sanikarsha is buddhi, and that buddhi is called pratyaksha pramana because it is you who is understanding, because it is your atma, your indriya, your manas, and the artha is something else about what you are trying to understand. So you are aligning all of these together, whatever is yours, you're aligning all of these with something that you have to understand, and then you get something out of it, which is called buddhi. So this kind of understanding is called pratyaksha. This is also one way to understand the truth and the false in the whole world. Second option is done. Third option is anumana. You do a guess game, an imagination. Anumana, guessing game. The shloka goes, Pratyaksha purvam trividham trikalam cha anumiyate vanhir nigudho dhumena maithunam garbhadarsanat evam vyavasantyatitam bijat phalam anagatam drishtva bijat phalam jatimihaiva sadrisham buddhaha. So he gives examples here. Okay, he gives 3 examples. This pratyaksha purvam, this is not pratyaksha. This is either trividha, like past tense, or in the future tense. This can be at any point of time. You're seeing it now, and you take the, and you guess whatever has happened earlier. You're seeing now, and you guess what can happen in the future. This, it connects all of these 3 kalas. You're now, you're here in the bhavishyat kala. You see something happening, and then you guess what has happened earlier. You go into bhuta kala, and then you see another thing, whatever has happened now, and then you guess what can happen in the future in the bhavishyat kala. So it connects all the 3 kalas, and the examples what he gives for everything is vanhir nigudo dhumena. There is somewhere you see a fire, and then you see smoke coming out. Whenever you see any smoke, you're sure, though you may not have seen the fire, you understand, you imply that there is a fire, right? That is what you're seeing in the present. You're seeing in the present, what you're seeing in the present is the dhuma, and then you're guessing that there was a fire. So that is how the Bhutakala explains here. You're seeing a fire, and you're not seeing the fire, but you're seeing the smoke coming out of it, and then you guess, oh, there was fire. Okay, this is one example. Next, what you understand is Maithunam Garbhadarsanat. If a lady has conceived now, if she is a Garbhini lady, then you understand that some or the other in the previous days, there has been an intercourse. So that is what you understand, that because of that intercourse, now we are seeing the Garbha. So this is about going back and understanding something, whatever has happened. Next, evam vyavastyanti atitam bijam phalam anagatam drishtva bijat phalam jati mihaiva. So in the future, so today you have sown a seed, and in the future you understand that the tree is going to bear its fruit. Also, you are going to understand that this bija was once a phala. Both of them could be understood here. Okay, so this is how the anumana pramana goes. If there is anything happening, you correlate it either with the past or to the future or in the present itself that you have not seen. It could be in the present, it could be in the past, it could be in the future. You have not seen that through your eyes, but you're just making some guesses out of it, which are logical. Illogical reasoning cannot be taken as anumana pramana. If it is logical, you can take it as anumana pramana. And then the last option is yukti. So the shloka of yukti is in shloka number 25. Buddhihi pashyati ya bhavan bahukarana yogatan Yuktis trikala sadhneya trivargaha sadhyate yatha. So he says, buddhi pashyati abhava bahukarana yoga. There is so many permutations and combinations. Bahukarana yogajan. There are so many causative factors, and those so many causative factors can lead into so many other results out of it. So this permutation and combination, understanding this permutation and combination is called yukti. So this is what yukti is all about. So the 4 Chaturvidha parikshas are done: Aptopadesha, Pratyaksha, Anumana and Yukti. Utilizing all of these pramanas, you have to understand whether whatever you are seeing or whatever you have to understand is true or false with all of these 4 pramanas. And these are the 4 pramanas which Charakacharya has accepted. So this could be your 5-mark question or could be combined with any other question and given as 15-mark question also, but very, 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 very important. These are the only shlokas which I mentioned in the initial slide as important shlokas from shloka number 18 to 25. These are the shlokas. These are applicable for your Charaka Samhita exam questions, also in your Padartha Vijnana questions. So mark them, by heart them, understand them properly, and know how to write the explanations. Okay. So in the Samhita, what happens is after Charakacharya explains about this Chaturvidha Pariksha, he then explains about Punarjanma. With the explanation given about all of these pramanas, he justifies Punarjanma with all through the 4 pramanas, with the example of how Pratyaksha Pramana will justify the Punarjanma, how Anumana Pramana can be used to justify Punarjanma, how Aptopadesha can be used to justify Punarjanma, and how Yukti Pramana can be used to justify Punarjanma. And then he concludes by telling that all of these are applicable and thus Punarjanma does exist. So there is no doubt about it at all. In the initial slide here there was a question about that some people do not believe in paraloka because they do not believe in Punarjanma. So here Charakacharya has understood that the basic problem why people do not want to understand or do not want to accept paralokeshana is because they do not accept Punarjanma itself. Then he tries and tries and tries, and then he justifies by stating all of the reasons why Punarjanma does exist with all the 4 pramanas. And then he clarifies that Punarjanma does exist and you do not have to have any doubts about it. And then he jumps on to the next concept of Trayopastambha. And all the other triads explained, all the other triplets here, Trayopastambha. Next, these are explained. Trayopastambha, Trividha bala, Trini Ayatanani, Trividha Roga, Trividha Roga marga, Trividha bhishak, and Trividha aushadha. So these are the next concepts explained. So what are Trayopastambhas? Trayopastambhas are the 3 pillars, Ahara, Swapna, and Brahmacharya. येभिः त्रिभिः युक्तियुक्तैः उपस्तब्धम् उपस्तम्भैः शरीरं बलवर्ण उपचयोपचितम् अनुवर्तते यावदायुः संस्कारात् संस्कारम् अहितम् अनुपसेवमानस्य या इह एव उपदेक्ष्यते. So he says these are the Trayopastambhas. These are the basic pillars on which the whole life is laid upon, which are called Ahara, Swapna, and Brahmacharya. Ahara, Nidra, Brahmacharya. These are all has to be maintained. If it is maintained with proper samskaras, then there is Sharira, Balavarna, Upachaya. In Sharira, you see Balavarna, Upachaya, that they increase, Balavarna increases, and it is in its optimal state, Upachayam. balavarna upachayo upachitam anuvartate. It follows whatever advices, whatever the rules and regulations that you say. Your body will listen to your commands. And samskaram ahitam anupaseva manasya. If you do not do any asamskaras or ahita samskaras, your body will take care of its own. It will always have optimum level of bala, varna and upachaya. And if you go on any wrong ways, then you are surely going to end up in any vikaras, is what the Acharya explains here. And this is about Trayopastambhas, the basic 3 pillars of the body. Okay, Ahara, Swapna, Brahmacharya, important question. Trayopastambha is also a 2-mark question, important. See, all of these concepts which are explained in the triads, no, everything can be asked as 2-mark question, and everything together can also be asked as a 5-mark question also, to either mention or to explain briefly. Anything could happen. So these are very important concepts. Next we see about Trividha Bala, Sahajam. A part of it. Yeah, Trividha Balam. Trividham Balamiti, Sahajam, Kalajam, Yuktikritam cha. Sahajam, Yet Sharira Satvayoho, Prakritam. Kalakritam, Rituvibhagajam, Vayahakritam cha. Yuktikritam punaha tad yadahara chesta ayogajam. So he says there are 3 types of bala, 3 types how the strength can be improved by a person. He says first one is Sahaja, second one is Kalakrita, and then Yuktikrita. Sahaja is Yat Sharira Satvayoho Prakritam. This Sahaja Bala is Prakrita. It happens normally. How? It depends on the Sharira Sattva. Sharira and the Sattva of the person. Sharira is depending upon the doshas, dhatus and the malas and maintenance of the body, following sadvrita, etc. And Sattva is having, if the person has pravara sattva or madhyama sattva or avara sattva, depending on all of these, there is Sahaja Bala. They are normally gotten by the person and they cannot be changed. Next we have Kalakrita Bala, that is Kalakritam, Ritavibhagajam, Vayahakritam cha. So there are again 2 varieties here, Sahaja, Kalakrita and Yuktikrita. When we see, Kalakrita is again of 2 types, Rituvibhagaja and Vayokrita. Rituvibhagaja happens, Rituvibhagaja means we see that in Ayatana Kala and in Visarga Kala there are varied types of bala, right? In Ayatana Kala there is utilization of bala, and the bala starts to decrease by the end of Adana Kala, and by the end of Visarga Kala, by the end of Adana Kala, there is bala increased, and by the end of Visarga Kala, there is decreased bala. So when we see this variation in the seasons itself, the bala varying, this is called Kalakrita or Rituvibhagaja. According to the season, the bala also changes. And then we see Vayokrita, because all of these depends on the time, this is categorized under Kalakrita. This Vayokrita means in the bala stage, when his children's, then there is no much energy because they're still developing the bala. And then when it is in Yovanavastha, there is increased amount of bala, they can do anything. And as the age decreases, as the Vridhapya comes into existence, then the bala automatically decreases. This is about the Vayokrita. So we see that Sahaja is the first one. Second one was Kalakrita. This Kalakrita is again of 2 types. One is Rituvibhagaja and Vayokrita. Rituvibhagaja depends upon the Ritu. This is also normal. And Vayokrita is also normal. But the changes happen according to the season and according to the time. Okay. And then the third type of bala is called yuktikrita. This is under the control of a person. Yuktikritam punaha tat yad ahara cheshta yogajam. Whenever there is any ahara taken which can increase the bala, then there is increased bala. When the ahara vihara is targeted towards reducing, or if the results of the ahara vihara is reducing the bala, then the bala reduces. this is dependent upon the ahara and cheshta of the person. The physical and dietic involvement is surely there. So this is called yuktikrita bala. Okay. So the next point is about Trini Ayatanani. Here Ayatana means the root cause of the disease. Okay. Ayatana means the root cause of the disease. So what are the three root causes of the diseases? He says, Trini Ayatanani Arthanam Karmanaha Kalasya cha Atiyoga Ayoga Mithya Yogaha. So he says, Trividha Ayatanani Arthanam Karmanaha Kalasya. Artha, whatever the actions or the Indriya Arthas here, which refers to Indriya Arthas. Karma is the actions and Kala is how your Kala goes on, or the amount of time spent. So in these three, you have Atiyoga, Ayoga and Mithya Yoga. So 9 combinations possible for Roga Ayatanani or the Trini Ayatanani. This is how the Roga starts to appear. So he gives a beautiful explanation. So this shloka, whatever is explained here, this is about Artha. Okay. Indriya Artha is what is explained here. How the root cause can be your Indriya Artha. Tatra ati prabhavatam drishyanam atimatra darshanam atiyogaha sarvasho. So he says drishya. First is Chakshurindriya. So the artha of Chakshurindriya is drishya. So whatever, if you want to see, if you do atiyog, if you use it in excess, then it is darshanam atiyogaha. Sarvasho adarshanam ayogaha. If you do not see anything, then that is ayoga. Ati shlishta, ati viprakrishta, raudra, bhairava. Whatever is very small or whatever is, very scary to see, or it has very lousy things, it is very awkward, and etc., which are not in normalcy. If you are trying to look at them, then it is mithya yoga. And then he says, tatha atimatraha tani tapa tatha atimatraha tani tanita pataho utkrushtadinam shabdanam atimatram shravanam atiyogaha. So he has explained about the drishya. If you do excessive usage of your eyes, then it is atiyoga. If you do not look at anything, then it is ayoga. If you look at abnormal things, then it is mithya yoga. Same thing goes for all the indriyas: shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa and gandha. If, for example, you take gandha, if you are smelling beautiful things, then it is samyak yoga, good things. Or if you are smelling continuously anything or everything, whatever you get, then it is ati yoga. If you are not able to smell at all, or if you are not taking any smells, then it is ayoga. Or if you are smelling any awkward things, bad things, foul smelling things, you're smelling a poison, you're smelling any abnormal things which are not supposed to be smelled, if you are doing that, then it is mithya yoga. Same goes for all the other 3 indriyas also. That is what is about Trini Ayatanani. This is the first one of Artha. So in Artha we have 3: Atiyoga, Ayoga and Mithya Yoga. Artha of Indriya Artha, Atiyoga, Indriya Artha, Ayoga, Indriya Artha, Mithya Yoga. All 5 Indriyas Atiyoga, all 5 Indriyas Ayoga, all 5 Indriyas Mithya Yoga. These are the causative factors through the Indriyarthas. And then we see about Prajnaparadha. This is about karma. Whatever the actions you do in your physical body, karma, physical body, vak, manaha, sharira, pravritti. So actions is called Prajnaparadha. If you know that you should not do and yet you do, that is called Prajnaparadha. So this action is in 3 types again: kaya, vak and manas. So here it is written as vak, mana and sharira. If you know that you are not supposed to do something and still you do, that is prajnaparadha. if you know that you are not supposed to speak such things and still you do, then you are doing vak prajnaparadha. If you know that you are not supposed to speak excessively and still you speak, then it is vak prajnaparadha. If you know that you have to speak, but if you still do not, then that is also vak prajnaparadha. Again, this prajnaparadha is related to karma is also of three types: vak, manas, and sharira. These are also again of three combinations: atyoga, ayoga, and mithya yoga. Atyoga of vak, atyoga of manas, atyoga of sharira, ayoga of vak, manas, sharira, and mithya yoga of vak, manas, and sharira. This in together is called karma, actions, and this considers itself as prajnaparadha. Okay. So the explanation is given here for all of these ayoga, atyoga, and mithya yoga of vak, manas, and sharira. You can go through that. These are also very important because anything could be the reason of rogas. Here, when he says about prajnaparadha of kaya, vak, and manas, you might understand this in any perspective, either in terms of the symptoms, what you see in the patient, or how the disease would have occurred to him, or what could be the causative factors. When you start understanding the nidanas for any particular disease, these things come into limelight, because if we do not understand the nidanas or hetu sevana by the patient, we cannot treat them. So that is where this prajnaparadha will come into limelight. Very, very important. Okay. So next we understand about parinama, or about the kala. So in 3D Ayatanani, the first one was indriyartha, the second one was karma, and the third one was kala. So artha, atyoga, ayoga, and mithya yoga of all the indriyas, all the 5 sense organs we learned. Then when it comes to the second one, karma, we understood about kaya, vak, and manas, the atyoga, mithya yoga, and ayoga of all of these 3 things. Karma we have understood. And then kala. Kala here is parinama. Due to what? Because of kala. The effect of the kala is what we understand here. This is the third point here. Let us understand that. शीत उष्ण वर्षलक्षणाः पुनः हेमंत ग्रीष्म वर्षाः संवत्सरः स कालः. All of these rutus are called kala. Tatra atimatra swalakshanaha kalaha kalati yogaha. If there is atimatra lakshana of the kala, then it is kala ati yoga. If there is too much of rain, if there is too much of hot, if there is too much of cold, then it is ati yoga. Hina swalakshanaha kalaha kala ayogaha. If the lakshanas are less, then it is ayoga. Yatha swalakshana viparita lakshanaha tu kalaha kala mithya yogaha. If during rainy season you see summer, and if in summer season you feel too much of cold, then that is viparita lakshana, that should not have been there. So that is called kala mithya yoga. Kalaha punaha parinama uchyate. So this kala is only known as parinama. So now we have understood about this Trini Ayatanani, the 3 causative factors of any disease is 3: artha, karma, and kala, also known as asatmendriyartha samyoga, prajnaparadha, and parinama. Okay. So this paragraph, whatever it deals about the indriyano, this is also put under the heading of asatmya indriya artha samyoga. So this is called asatmya indriya artha samyoga. And whatever deals about the paragraph, the shloka which deals about karma is known as prajnaparadha, and the shloka which deals about the explanation of kala, ayoga, atyoga, and mithya yoga is known as parinama. This could also individually be your 2-mark questions, or this could also be a Viva Voce question asking you, okay, what is prajnaparadha? Then you are sure to get confused. Prajnaparadha is nothing but the ayoga, atyoga, and mithya yoga karma. Okay. Do not get confused by the synonyms, or do not get confused by the word which is which gives a broader explanation about everything. Okay, there are a lot of synonyms here. You have to understand them. So we come to the next part, that is Trividha Roga. We have understood what are the causes of Roga. Now we understand what are the Trividha Rogas. Okay, this is explained in Shloka number this is explained in Shloka number 45. Shloka number 45. Trividha Roga. Tatra त्रयोरोगा इति निज आगन्तु मानसाः तत्र निजः शारीरदोषसमुत्थः आगन्तुर्भूत विष वायु अग्नि संप्रहारादि समुत्थः मानसः पुनः इष्टस्य लाभात् अलाभात् च अनिष्टस्य उपजायते. Okay, so Trividha Roga he explained this as Sharirika, Nija Agantuja and Nija Agantuja and Manasika. Nija dosha, Nija rogas, Agantuja rogas, Manasika rogas. Trividha rogas. Okay. Under these categories only, all the other rogas have been explained further. And this is the basic categorization of roga. Nija, Agantuja and Manasika. Tatra Nijaha Sharira dosha samutthaha. Nija doshas first have vitiation in their Sharirika doshas. Doshas is the three doshas, the saptadhatus in their abnormal level, malas in their abnormal level, all of them. So whenever there is impairment in these doshas and the disease manifests, that is called Nijarogas. There is no influence of any external foreign bodies or any external things. It is Sharirika. Whatever impairment has happened from inside, just by the body itself, that is called Nijaroga. There is no any external influence happening. Then that is called Nijaroga. Next we see about Agantuja Roga. In Agantuja Roga, there is an external influence of Bhuta, Visha, Vayu, Agni Sampraharadi Samuthaha. Any external influence with Vayu, Agni and Visha and any Panchamahabhutas from external is called Agantu. Okay. So in Nija dosha, in Nija rogas, what happens is there is Sharirika dosha impairment and then the symptoms start appearing. But here in Agantuja doshas, what happens is there is no internal variations happening because internally everything is normal, the person is stable, everything is in Prakriti. But what happens is due to the external influence of Visa, Vayu, Agni, Samprahara, there is symptoms produced and then the Sharirika doshas get impaired. And then there is also Lakshanas about Sharirika doshas. Sharirika dosha impairment. This is the difference between Nija dosha and Agantuja doshas. Next is the third one is Manasika dosha. Manasaha punaha ishtasya alabhat labhat cha anishtasya. This is a very basic understanding about Manasika roga. I mean, if you are able to understand this one line, your practice for any psychological diseases is very easy. Okay. Ishtasya labha, ishtasya alabhat, alabhatya labhatya anishtasya. The person wants something and he doesn't get that. He doesn't want something and he gets that. These two are the main reasons for Manasika rogas. This concept can be put into any levels of just clinical depression, anxiety, age-related depressions, age-related psychological disorders, or disease-oriented psychological disorders, ADHD, autism, anything, any kind of psychological disorders. All you understand is whatever the person has to get, he does not get that, and whatever he has, he does not like that. Two reasons for all the Manasika doshas. Very beautifully explained. Simple logic, but with vast perspectives and vast scope. Okay. So these are the Trividha rogas, Nija, Agantuja and Manasika. Next concept is about Manasika roga chikitsa. So Manasika Roga Chikitsa, there is one shloka here in which is not mentioned in the slide. It is in 47th shloka, that is just 2-line shloka itself. He says, Manasam prati bhaisajyam trivargasya anvekshanam tad vidya seva vijnanam atmadinam cha sarvashaha. This is a concise explanation about the paragraph mentioned in the slide here. This is concise format of the 46th shloka. He says, Manasam prati bhaisajyam trivargasya anvekshanam. Trivarga here is dharma, artha and kama. The person has to understand or follow proper dharma, artha and kama. He has to understand what is required in dharma, artha and kama for himself and then follow that. That is the first line of treatment. Next line of treatment is tad vidya seva. By the yukti of the Vaidya, he has to put all his jnana and then give him some aushadhas, and he has to follow whatever the Vaidya says. That is the second point. And then Atma Dinam cha Sarvashaha. He has to consider, the person has to consider Atma, Desa, Kala, etc. And then he has to treat himself. And then the treatment also has to be planned accordingly. The person also has to understand that this is the line of the treatment and he has to follow whatever the Vaidya says. There is no other treatment required. Nothing more, nothing less. He says Trivargasya Anvekshanam is the first line of treatment. Next line of treatment is Vidya Seva, or to understand whatever the Vaidya is telling and following accordingly. Vijnanam Atma Dinam cha Sarvashaha. He has to understand Atma, the Atma, Desha, Kala, Yukti, everything has to be put and the treatment has to be planned accordingly. 3 rules for treating any Manasika Vyadhis. So the next concept explained is Trividha Roga Marga, Trayo Roga Marga. So Roga Marga is how the disease can manifest inside the body. What are the pathways of how a disease can manifest, or whatever is involved. If you say that there is one roga which is happening, it could be nija only, not agantika. If it is nija roga, how the disease can manifest? What is the probable involvement of the components inside the body in different nija rogas? So he says, Trayo Roga Marga iti Shakha Marmasti Sandhayaha Koshtascha. So 3 Roga Margas, Shakha, Marmasti Sandhi and Koshtha. 3 important Roga Margas. These are very, very important. This could be your 5-mark question too. Because there are, in every Roga Marga, you have the organs involved and the components involved from the body. And then you have the list of the diseases which are probable to happen in that Roga Marga. So this could also be your 5-mark question. Could also be a 2-mark question, but generally it is a 5-mark question because it is a long answer. So you have to understand what is Shakha, what are the components that involve in Shakha, and what are the components of Marmasti Sandhi, and what are the components of Koshtha Roga Marga. If you understand these 3, then it is easy for you to categorize the patient according to the symptom, according to the dosha involvement, and whatever you do as Rogi Pariksha and Roga Pariksha, you will understand what are the components involved, and then come understand, okay, that this is the Roga Marga, and then treat them according to the chikitsa of that particular Roga Marga also. That is also one of the reasons why you have to understand this Roga Marga. Okay. First one is Shakha. Tatra Shakha Raktadayo Dhatavastvakcha. Sa Bahya Roga Margaha. This is also called as Bahya Roga Marga. Shakha is called Shakhadi, etc. is called Bahya Roga Marga. This involves Raktadi Dhatus and Tvak. There is no Rasa involvement. It is only Raktadi Dhatu and then Tvak. Okay. So if there is any involvement, any vyadhi which affects the raktadi dhatu and tvak, then it is called shakha. This is also called as bahya roga marga. Very, very important. Next, marma asti sandhi. The second point is marma asti sandhayaha. That involves marmani punaha basti hridaya murdhadini asti sandhayo asti samyogaha tatra upanibadhascha snayu kandaraha sa madhyamo roga margaha. So first we understood shakha, that was called as bahya roga marga. Now we are understanding marmasti sandhayaha, which was called madhyama roga marga. This involves marma means basti, hridaya and murdha, that is shiras. Three marmas are involved in this. Asti and sandhi. Asti samyogaha tatra upanibadhascha snayu kandaraha also. Asti, sandhi and snayu kandara and three marmas. All of these are involved in this marma or marmasti sandhi category of roga marga, which is also known as bahya roga marga. So the third one is koshthaha. Koshthaha punaruchyate mahasrotaha sharira madhyam mahanimnam ama pakvasayah cha iti paryaya sabdaihi tantre saroga margaha abhyantaraha. So first one we saw, that is shakha, which involves raktadi dhatus in tvak, which was called bahya roga marga. Next we understood marmasti sandhi, which involves three marmas, asti, sandhi, snayu and kandara, which is known as madhyama roga marga. Now we are understanding the koshta, which is involving mahasrotas or the complete involvement of ama and pakvashaya, amashaya and pakvashaya. This can also be understood, which this stays in the sharira madhya, the center part of the body. Mahanimnam is which has too much of space. It constitutes of amashaya and pakvashaya. The other name for this roga marga is called abhyantara. So bahya, madhyama, abhyantara, shakha, marmasti sandhi and koshtha. Three important roga margas. This, other than this, there is no other way for any rogas to start or have the pathway of any roga. So according to this, there are list of rogas which are mentioned in shloka number 49. You can go through that. So shakhanusari rogas, it is ganda, pidaka, alaji, apachi, charmakila, adhimamsa, kushta, vyanga, etc. Visarpa, shvethu, gulma, etc. All of these come under shakha because there is involvement of raktadi dhosha, raktadi dhatu and tvak. These are a few examples of shakha. And then we have second one is madhyama marga, madhyama roga marga, which are the rogas which have involvement of basti, hridaya, murdha, that is marma, asti, sandhi, snayu, kandara. So the examples given are pakshavadha, graha, apatanaka, ardita, shosha, rajayakshma, asti, sandhi, shula, budabhramsha, etc. Whatever the diseases are involving the basti, hridaya, murdha, asti, sandhi, snayu, kandara. All of these diseases come under madhyama roga marga. A general concept here. Okay. And then koshtanusari rogas, or whatever the rogas which are involving the koshtas is jwara, atisara, chardi, alasaka, visuchika, kasa, shwasa, hikka. Whatever the diseases which occur involving the amashaya, pakvashaya and the complete digestive system is called abhyantara roga marga, or it is called a koshtha. Okay. Koshtarnusari rogas or koshtha roga marga. Trividha roga marga, shakha, marmasti sandhi, koshtha, are known as bahya, abhyantara and madhyama. Three things. Very, very important point. This repeats and repeats and repeats everywhere. And this is really important for your chikitsa also, for your practice also. Very, 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 very important. You can mark it how many ever stars you want as important. Next, we come to the topic of Trividha Bhishak. As I always tell, our Charakacharya does not miss any opportunity of explaining the qualities of Bhishak. Until now, I have dealt with 12 chapters now. Maybe we have discussed about the qualities of Bhishak at least 4 to 5 times. And maybe this is the 6th time that we are looking at the qualities of Bhishak. Charakacharya always wants to be clear of how a Bhishak should be, because in the last chapter, in the last session when we saw, he said, whoever Vaidya practices properly with all the yukti and all the Shodashakala chikitsa, he will make the complete Ayurveda shine. So he wants that shine to be always there. So he never misses the opportunity to tell the qualities of a Bhishak. He will keep repeating the same thing until it is fixed in our minds. So again, we are learning about Trividha Bhishak. Here it is very, very different. Trividha Bhishak. He says, Trividha Bhishaja iti Bhishak Chadmacharaha santi santyeke siddha sadhitaha santi vaidya guna yuktaihi taha Trividha Bhishajo bhuvi. There are 3 types of Bhishak. They are called Bhishak Chadmacharaha. Chadmachara Vaidya, Chadmachara Bhishak. And then he says it is Siddha Sadhita Bhishak. And then at last, the perfect one is called Vaidya Guna Yukta Bhishak. So 3, Chadmachara Vaidya, Siddha Sadhita Vaidya, and Vaidya Guna Yukta. So what are the qualities of each and every Bhishak? He explains. Very, very important. Trividha Bhishak also. This may or may not be your question for your RGHS examinations. This is a very, very rarely asked question. But practically, if you want to be a Bhishak and if you want to understand how to be a Bhishak, then you have to understand all of these lokas. How you should not be and how you should be. That is explained here. Chadmachara Vaidya, the first one is shloka number 51. He says, Vaidya bhandaushadaihi pustaihi pallavair avalokanaihi labhante ye bhishak shabdam ajñātaha te pratirupakaha. So this person who is called as Chadmachara, he does not have any jnana, he is agnya, he is ajnani, he does not have any knowledge about treatment itself. He is just imitating a Vaidya. He has become a pratirupaka. He is imitating a Vaidya by keeping bhanda ushadaihi pustaihi. I mean, he is just, what do you say? He's just showing off that he has so many medicines, that he has so many books, and he always shows off that he's reading always, and he has so many medicines with him. Like, he just shows off everything, that he has so many things, but internally he does not have any knowledge about it. He's just showing off, and he's trying to attract people with that. So this is called a Chadmachara Vaidya, who is imitating a Vaidya. He does not have any knowledge, but he's just showing off. Next, the second kind is Siddha Sadhita, who the Lakshanas are explained here. Shri Yashognyana Siddhanam Vyapadeshad Atadvidhaha Vaidya Sabdam Labhanteye Jneyaste Siddha Sadhitaha. So this person, no, he always connects with some other Vaidya who has gained, who has proper knowledge, who is a perfect Vaidya. He always connects with him and then says, okay, I am the Vaidya. He takes the name of the others. He says, I'm connected with him, I'm connected with this person, I'm connected with that person, I'm connected with that particular institution, this institution. He does not have any knowledge, but he's just taking the support, or he's backing himself up with properly known Vaidyas, and this person calls himself as Vaidya. Okay, this person is always again behind Shri or money, Yashas or fame, and then he also has some knowledge, not that he does not have, but he is always trying to gain more money, gain more fame out of his Vaidya Vritti. So that is how this person is called Siddha Sadhita. He is utilizing all of these to become a Vaidya. He is not utilizing his jnana. Okay. And then the last one is Vaidya Guna Yukta, how a Vaidya should be. It is Prayoga Jnana Vijnana Siddhi Siddhaha Sukha Pradaha Jivita Abhisaraste Syuhu Vaidyatvam Teshu Avasthitamiti. The person who is always trying to be knowledgeful, who always takes a stand towards Prayoga Jnana is practical knowledge, Vijnana is theoretical knowledge, and with knowledge of all other Shastras, Siddhi Siddhaha, who has also learned from the other Siddha Vaidyas and who is always trying to do good, or who is always trying to help people to enter into Sukha, or who is trying to get the people rid of their diseases. This person is called Jivita Abhisara, and this person is also trying to get the Jivita back to the person. He is giving them beautiful life, a happy life. This person is called Vaidya Guna Yukta Vaidya. This is how a Vaidya should be. So these are the three important types of bhishak. The first two are how you should not be, and the third one is how a Vaidya should be. Next, we come to the concept of Trividha Aushadha. Trividha Aushadha is of again two types. There are two categories of Trividha Aushadha. The first Trividha Aushadha is dealing with Daiva Vyapashraya, Yukti Vyapashraya, and Sattva Vajaya. The second kind of Trividha Aushadha is Antah Parimarjana, Bahi Parimarjana, and Shastra Pranidhana. Both of them are explained in the same chapter itself. So if they ask you about the question of Trividha Aushadha, then you're supposed to write both of them, not only one, then it becomes a half answer. So if it is related with, if the question is for Charaka Samhita paper, and if you're asked about Trividha Aushadha, you have to write both of them, Daiva Vyapashraya, Yukti Vyapashraya, and Sattva Vajaya Chikitsa, also about Antah Parimarjana, Bahi Parimarjana, and Shastra Pranidhana Chikitsa. So first is Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa. Mantra, Aushadha, Mani, Mangala, Bali, Upahara, Homa, Niyama, Prayaschitta, Upavasa, Swasthayana, Pranipata Gamanadi. These are all coming under Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa, where you ask the person to do any of the above mentioned activities of chanting a mantra or giving them mantra abhimantrita aushadhis, giving them money to wear, and asking them to do any mangala charanas, bali, upahara, homa, upavasa. Upavasa in Lanthana is different, upavasa here is different, because the intentions are different. And then doing swasthayana, or chanting positive things, swasthayana, following the best things, pranipatagamana, etc. All of these come under Daiva Vyapashraya. There is no involvement of aushadhi here. Next comes Yukti Vyapashraya. This is where aushadhas are used. Yukti Vyapashrayam punaha ahara aushadha dravyanam yojana. The combination of ahara aushadha dravyas and aushadha dravyas according to the requirement of the patient. This is called Yukti Vyapashraya Chikitsa. And then we have the third one as Sattva Vajaya Chikitsa. This is punaha ahitebhyo arthebhyo mano nigraha. This is one place where you ask the patient to stop whatever is ahita, and then you ask them to continue whatever is hita for them. Ahitebhyo arthebhyo. The indriyarthas, ahita indriyartha sannikarsa, we are asking them to stop. The atiyoga, ayoga, and mithya yoga of indriyartha, we are asking them to stop. We are asking the person to do only samyak yoga of the indriyarthas and stopping all the ayoga, atiyoga, and mithya yoga of the indriyarthas. Ahitebhyo arthebhyo mano nigraha, controlling the manas by not doing any of these activities. Ahitebhyo arthebhyo mano nigraha. This is called Sattva Avajaya Chikitsa. You are trying to increase the sattva of the person. You are trying to take control over the sattva of the person. That is called Sattva Avajaya Chikitsa. These are the three types of Trividha Aushadha explained. The first kind of Trividha Aushadha. Next, the second kind of Trividha Aushadha is Antah Parimarjana. Tatra Antah Parimarjanam Yad Antah Shariram Anupravishya Aushadham Ahara Jata Vyadhin Pramirshta. That is, when you give medicines internally, the medicines go inside, shariram anupravishya, this will go inside and will treat whatever is the ahara jata vyadhi, whatever the vyadhis have been manifested due to any ahara, that will get treated because of the medicines which go inside, which you are giving them inside. And then this is called antaparimarjana chikitsa. You give the medicine internally and then try to cure the disease. This is called antaparimarjana chikitsa. Next we come to bahiparimarjana. Yat punaha bahihi sparsham ashritya abhyanga sveda pradeha parisheka unmardanadhyaihi amayan pramrishti tad bahihi parimarjanam. So if you do any external treatments, okay, that can include abhyanga, sveda, pradeha, or any of these external applications if you are doing, then it is called bahiparimarjana chikitsa. And then the last one is shastra pranidhana. So we have dealt internal, we have dealt external. If there are any diseases which are not curable by either internal medicines, antaparimarjana chikitsa, or bahiparimarjana chikitsa, then we end up giving them shastra pranidhana by involving any shastras. That is called punaha chedana, bhedana, vyadhana, dharana, lekhana, utpatana, prachana, sivana, eshana, shara, jalokascheti. Any places, any vyadhis in which you utilize any of the shastra is called shastra pranidhana. This comes under again Shalya Tantra. So let us not go deep into it. These are the Ashtaveda Shastra Karmas explained in the list, and then they have explained about Shara Karma and Jalauka. So this is about Shastra Pranidhana. So by this, we have dealt with the whole chapter of Tisraishaniya Adhyaya, and we have dealt with Trayopastambha, Trividha Bala, Trini Ayatanani, Trividha Roga, Trividha Roga Marga, Trividha bhishak, and Trividha ashanas. I hope the concepts are clear. And by this, we end the session here for today. So because this was a 7-day session planned for Charaka Samhita to cover the 12 chapters of Sutrasthana, we have dealt all of them with a few combinations of chapters here and there by dealing 2 and 4 at once and 9 and 10 at once. And today was the 11th chapter. We have already dealt with the 12th chapter on the first day itself. So there are so many combinations which were made for chapters. And in 7 days, we have dealt with 12 chapters. I hope the concepts are clear. And I beg your pardon if there has been any miscommunications happened or if there is any wrong things mentioned by me. I'm sure Charaka would not have mentioned that, has not ever mentioned any wrong things. But if in my explanation, if there has been anything, I beg all your pardon. And thank you for this opportunity by Punarjanma organization. Thanks a lot. Thank you for everyone. I hope all your examinations and your knowledge is fulfilling. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Now we are coming to the end of the session. Ma'am, we are very glad to have you in this session today. On behalf of our Punarjanma organization, we are very thankful to you for accepting our invitation to conduct the sessions on Charaka Sutra, chapter 1 to chapter 12. I am very sure this session will definitely useful for the students who are preparing for the upcoming exams. Everyone loved your sessions, ma'am. We are getting so many messages in regards to this, ma'am. We hope to have you as a mentor for long time, ma'am. Even I loved the sessions, ma'am. We would
Sure,
like
I
to
would
listen your
be more
classes on
glad.
Ashtanga Day also, ma'am. You have explained the concepts in very easy way, ma'am, with so much of patience. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am. We'll wind up the session now.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.